Okay, so today we're diving into something really comforting, like the ultimate comfort food. We're talking pot roast and mashed potatoes.
Yeah, two absolute classics.
And I think we all have some version of this meal, kind of etched in our memories.
Right,
Oh.
exactly. Like a Sunday dinner kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's that warm, comforting feeling. But we want to go beyond just the nostalgia.
Absolutely.
We're going to unpack what makes these dishes so universally loved and how to make them consistently amazing at home.
Yeah, because everyone wants a good pot roast recipe, right?
Right. We're going to break down the techniques, the history.
The science behind it all.
Yes, the science. Because we have a great article here that really digs deep into the art and science of these
Yeah,
classics.
it's fascinating stuff. It
Yep.
goes way beyond just the recipes.
So, our mission for this deep dive is to really understand these dishes inside and out.
And empower everyone to make them truly exceptional.
Exactly. So, to kick things off, let's actually talk about where these beloved dishes come from, the history behind them.
Well, what's really interesting is that pot roast, the way we know it in the U.S., actually has its roots in a French dish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called bouffe à la mode, and it was brought over by, French immigrants way back when.
So, it's kind of like a culinary immigrant story.
Exactly. It shows how food traditions evolve and adapt as they move across cultures.
It's a melting pot on a plate, isn't it?
Total.
Now, the article talks about two key things for a good pot roast: the cut of meat and that slow braising technique.
Right. The meat is crucial, and they really emphasize chuck roast.
Why chuck roast specifically?
It's all about the marbling, those little streaks of fat throughout the meat.
Ah, so as it cooks slowly, that fat melts and keeps it moist.
Exactly. It basically self-bastes as it braises, and that gives it that amazing tenderness and flavor,
So we're talking about like flavor pockets just melting into the beef.
pretty much. And the braising part is important too. It's more than just simmering. It's about cooking it low and slow and liquid, which helps break down tougher cuts of meat and make them incredibly tender.
Now on to the mashed potatoes, that classic side dish. I mean, they seem so simple, but the article traces them back to Northern Europe.
It's amazing how something so basic has become such a global staple, right?
Totally. But just like with the pot roast, it's not as simple as it seems. The article highlights the importance of choosing the right type of potato.
Yeah, they specifically recommend starchy potatoes, like russets, if you're going for that light and fluffy texture.
So you can't just mash any old potato.
Nope. If you want that perfect consistency, you've got to choose wisely.
Interesting. Now, the article also dives into some of the big names in the culinary world who've really shaped how we think about these dishes, like Julia Child, for example.
Oh, absolutely. Her influence on American cooking is undeniable. The article points out how she popularized classic French techniques, including braising, and really inspired home cooks to tackle dishes that might have seemed intimidating before.
I feel like she really demystified a lot of those techniques, made them feel accessible to everyone.
Totally. And then when it comes to mashed potatoes, the article mentions Martha Stewart and her emphasis on making them really, really decadent.
You mean like lots of butter and cream?
Oh, yeah. She's all about that rich, luxurious texture, almost like a celebration of indulgence.
So both Julia Child and Martha Stewart, in their own ways, really elevated these dishes.
They definitely help to solidify their place as true comfort food classics.
Okay, so now we get to the really fun part. The article dug up some fascinating and surprising details about the history of these dishes. Did you know that pot roast was traditionally a Sunday meal?
Yeah, that's so interesting. And the article suggests it's because it takes a long time to cook, so it's perfect for a day when people had more time to spend in the kitchen.
So you can almost picture it, right? The family's home, that amazing smell wafting through the house all day long.
And everyone anticipating that delicious meal.
And here's another one that blew my mind. Mashed potatoes were once considered a luxury item.
I know, right? Seems crazy now. But the article explains that back in the 18th century, they were actually a dish for the wealthy.
But why?
It was all about the labor involved. Back then, they had to be mashed by hand, which was incredibly time-consuming and physically demanding.
So it makes sense that only the wealthy could afford to have someone spend that much time preparing them.
Exactly. It really makes you appreciate how much our relationship with food has changed over time.
Right. From a laborious luxury to an everyday comfort food. Quite a journey. Okay, so now let's get to the nitty-gritty. The tips for making the perfect pot roast and mashed potatoes. The article outlines 5 key tips.
Great. Let's dive in.
Tip number 1, sear the meat. Why is this step so important?
Searing the meat is all about creating flavor. It's not just about browning the outside. It's about creating a chemical reaction called the Maillard reaction, which develops hundreds of complex flavor compounds.
So it's not just for looks, it's a flavor booster.
Absolutely. And it helps seal in the juices, which is always a good thing.
Tip number 2, low and slow cooking. We talked about braising earlier, but could you explain why this longer cooking time is so important for pot roast?
Sure. It's all about the connective tissue in the meat. Chuck roast has a lot of collagen, which is tough. But when you cook it low and slow, that collagen breaks down into gelatin.
So it's like a slow transformation from tough to tender.
Exactly. And that gelatin is what gives pot roast that melt-in-your-mouth texture and makes the braising liquid rich and flavorful.
Okay, tip number 3. Season generously with salt and pepper and taste as you go. Seems simple, but why is this so crucial?
Because seasoning is the foundation of good cooking, and it's often overlooked. Salt doesn't just make things taste salty, it enhances the flavors of the ingredients.
So it's not just about adding salt at the end, it's about layering those flavors throughout the cooking process.
Right, and pepper adds warmth and complexity. Tasting as you go is key because it allows you to adjust the seasoning and make sure it's perfectly balanced.
Tip number 4, fresh herbs, specifically a bouquet garni. What do those add to the pot roast?
They infuse the braising liquid with amazing aromas.
Hmm.
A bouquet garni is just a bundle of herbs like thyme, rosemary, and bay leaves tied together.
So it's like a little flavor bomb for the pot roast.
Pretty much. It adds a subtle but really important layer of complexity and fragrance.
And lastly, tip number 5, mash with precision using a ricer or food mill and avoid blenders or food processors. Why the specific tools?
It's all about achieving that perfect fluffy texture. Ricers and food mills gently break down the potatoes without overworking the starch, which can make them gluey.
So no one wants mashed potato paste.
Definitely not.
Now, the article also has a couple of bonus tips. First up, a secret ingredient for pot roast. A splash of red wine or balsamic vinegar. Why does this work?
A touch of acidity can really brighten the flavors of the pot roast and add depth. The red wine, especially, also helps deglaze the pan, which means you can incorporate those delicious browned bits from the bottom into the braising liquid.
Ah, so it's a flavor enhancer and a sauce thickener.
Exactly.
And for the mashed potatoes, they suggest herb-infused butter. That sounds amazing.
It's so good. You just melt butter with some garlic and your favorite herbs, and then fold it into the mashed potatoes. It adds another dimension of flavor and aroma.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The history, the techniques, the expert insights, and even some fun facts. What's the big takeaway for our listeners when it comes to mastering these dishes?
I think the main point is that comfort food is about more than just satisfying your hunger. It's about tapping into those warm, fuzzy feelings, creating experiences that resonate, and bringing people together.
It's about making memories and sharing a sense of connection.
Absolutely.
So, to wrap up this delicious deep dive, let's quickly recap those key insights. We learned about the French origins of pot roast, the Northern European roots of mashed potatoes, and the importance of choosing the right ingredients.
We also discussed the influence of culinary icons like Julia Child and Martha Stewart, and we unearthed those surprising historical tidbits.
And of course, we went through the essential techniques: searing for flavor, low and slow cooking for tenderness, generous seasoning, the magic of fresh herbs, and the importance of using the right tools for mashing.
Plus, we even threw in some bonus tips to elevate those dishes to the next level.
So for our final thought today, I want you to think about this. The simple act of making and sharing a classic comfort food can connect you with culinary history and create really meaningful moments.
What a great reminder.
So as you plan your next meal, maybe think back to a specific memory you have associated with pot roast or mashed potatoes. How can you recreate that feeling of warmth and comfort? Perhaps trying one of those bonus tips will spark a new tradition in your own kitchen and create new memories.
That's a wonderful idea. Food is so much more than just sustenance. It's a powerful way to connect with our past, create memories in the present, and share love with those around us.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey. Until next time, happy cooking and enjoy those comforting classics.
Cheers to that.